Hello, teachers, and those of you of lesser professions. Today I'm going to go through something that's really important for teachers, and that is analyzing texts that students are breaking down. We're going to look at this through an analog lens and then also through ChatGPT, and we'll get started with this. You might recognize this illustration here, which is a illustration of Rudyard Kipling's White Man's Burden, very famous poem from the late 19th century. We look at this in history, and I'll put a little bit of it here. Just the first verse. Take up the white man's burden, send forth the best ye breed. Go bind your sons to exile to serve your captives' need. To wait in heavy harness on fluttered folk and wild, your new caught stolen peoples, half devil and half child. All right. So the problem we've had in the past is to give this text to students who don't understand it. How can we use ChatGPT to set up a lesson where this is really easy for them to understand and they can also demonstrate their learning in an analog situation? All right, so what I've done here is jump right to ChatGPT, and I put in just a very simple prompt that says create a worksheet here that will put this into modern context. And it will generate a worksheet that breaks it down line by line what everything means. Now, of course, you don't want to hand that to the students right away. This isn't about getting as information as quickly as possible. We want to make sure we keep it analog. So by this time in the lesson, everything is paper and pencil and maybe a visual overhead to show that cartoon, but everything is analog. There has to be a roadblock that's put up. If there's no roadblock, there's not going to be learning that happens. So the worksheet that was generated here, just a few of the questions, um, line for line. So, for example, what burden is Kipling referring to? Or who is being sent and why? All right, so that is all done in the analog world. Here's some more questions. And this is just for the verse, the first verse. Okay. And then here's a prompt that will give you a detailed explanation of the poem, which you can give to the students after they've gone through all of the analog portion. So create a detailed answer key that gives a historical background of the poem for the students. And voila, in a few moments, we end up with detailed background, historical, and then line for line answer key, which even if you're very familiar with this poem, it helps you to think in different ways and to add to your own knowledge. Now, of course, the order here is important where you introduce the topic. I prefer that cartoon as an introduction. And then, of course, underline in bold, make it analog, have the students think fair share, have them write it down on their paper, and get them to do their own thinking before you bring technology into it. And then look over the answer key. Now you can see from this answer key that there's a lot of words in here that the average high schooler that I teach won't know what a moral obligation is, or they might not understand colonialization. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to create a glossary of the text, which is going to help second language learners, especially. So this is my prompt that I put in. There are words in this answer key that many of my students will not be able to understand. Regenerate the text with footnotes, and attached to these footnotes will be a glossary with words that a seventh grader would have difficulty in understanding. I would give this to grade 10 students, but some of their reading levels are not advanced enough. So play it safe, go with a lower Lexile or a lower grade level. And then again, voila. A few moments later, I've got my terms that relate to the explanation found in the answer key, and they've got it all there to look through. All right, so in review, you're going to start off analog, you'll expand out to digital, differentiate different learning levels, And then as extensions, you can easily put in a ChatGPT prompt to create a vocabulary quiz on the words that were in the glossary. And you could also translate it to different languages if you would like. I hope this was helpful. This has been Teaching with Chad. Please like and subscribe. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment box. All right. Thank you. Bye bye.